Hi, everyone, and welcome to Fitness Knocking, formerly known as Fitness Coaching. This is our first episode under our new name. So, we are talking today about resetting your life and work balance, even when you're crazy busy and life has gotten in your way. Today, we're talking to John Hopper, and I'm really excited to have him on today. He actually works side by side with my husband, and he is a licensed psychotherapist and the owner of Blueprint Mental Health in Somerville, New Jersey. They specialize in children, teens, and young adults. So he's an expert in this field, and I'm so excited to have you up with me today. John, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me. Definitely a pleasure to be here on a hot day in New Jersey for sure. So thanks for having me.
Spicy out today. I was up really early this morning watering the lawn, and it was already warm.
Yeah.
I think we're in the midst of summer.
We definitely are. I'm ready for it.
Cool. So those of you that are watching at home, please chime in with any questions that you have. If you want to reach out to John, you can check out his website. I'm putting it across the bottom of our screen right now. And you can, of course, chime in with any questions. But, John, like everybody's so crazy right now. We have everything going on with COVID-19. Everybody's home. I've been talking about this all month about the whole balance of life and work. And I like to put the life-work balance versus work-life balance because we think about life second almost all the time. And I think that it's really important that we put life first and work to live, not the other way around. I was talking to a client yesterday, and she works 12-hour days now because she's working from home. She's an accountant, and she's really just overworking herself because she's working from home, and expectations are higher from the bosses and superiors within the company. And I feel like it's affecting us, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. Especially with the working from home piece, because it's at that point, there really isn't any physical separation between work and home. We're definitely this generation, with our mobile devices and the laptops and everything, it's different. We are, it used to be without that, like when you're done with your work day, you're kind of done with your work day. You went home and you enjoyed your time, but now, even before quarantine and before COVID, we were bringing work home, and that's a lot of the work that we were doing with our teens is with their parents of like, hey, how distracted are you as parents with bringing your work home and the laptops and the taking the calls and the emails. But now there's no barrier. There's no boundary between the two. And for example, like right now I'm in my kitchen. Right. And later on, I'm going to do my sessions with my clients, and I love my clients. And it's kind of like I'm having all of my clients in my kitchen with me every day, and so, as much as I love my clients, I also do like to have that separation. So it is a much different time now.
I think certainly that we have to try to figure that out and work within, of course, the parameters and not get worried too much about the minutia of like what looks like there's a mess behind you and that kind of thing. But you can feel the uncomfortability of sometimes if the space doesn't really jive with whatever you're doing.
Right.
Let's get right to it. So what do you think, in your opinion, what does work balance look like to you?
So I do my best to practice what I preach, right? But it's hard sometimes. So I'm going to really talk to you about my perspective of a work-life balance that I'm trying to achieve, because I'm someone that has a life and also works. So I think I could speak on this topic just as anyone else who has a life and also works could, right? But no, like along with being a therapist, I own a practice of 8 clinicians with my wife. Okay. So, I'm also, I'm a clinician, I'm an entrepreneur. So I work hard, so to me, it really is important to have that balance. Now I could talk about the the kind of textbook stuff, right? Like, which is, you know, have your self-care, put your time to yourself, and like make sure you're exercising and eating right, and then, you know, not bring your work home with you. But like, that's all like kind of cliche stuff, and I think we all know that. But I think the secret comes down to more so of what do I choose to focus my attention on at any given moment, right? I know that there's a lot of people that say, you know, with my work schedule, I don't have a lot of time to put towards my self-care. And what I say to that person is, one, maybe we could work to kind of create some more of that time, because, you know, like you said, like, you know, working to live, not living to work, you know, but really more so of, okay, with that time you are away from work, just be away from work during that time, right? I don't want to have 2 hours to myself, you know, enough 2 hours from the time I get home from work to the time that I go to bed. And in that 2 hours, spend it thinking about work, right? If I just have that 2 hours with my family and I'm looking forward all day long, I wish I was with my family, and then I get home to my family and I'm spending my time with my family thinking about being back at work, you know, I'm not having any balance actually whatsoever, you know? And I think that's the same for someone even who has a lot of their own time, you know, and it really is maybe really on paper working on their self-care, right? That they're getting up and they're doing yoga and they're like, you know, writing poetry and they're, you know, like working for a charity and they're doing all these things. But like, while you're doing those things, only do those things. Don't be doing those things thinking about things that are stressing me out in my life, or thinking about work during that time.
Right, absolutely. So, what do you do yourself to balance and maintain yourself? I know that you enjoy the journey. I love that you said that. We first talked about this topic in the first place. You said enjoy the journey.
Sure. You know, if you would have told me that when I was like 25, 27 years old, I would have told you to go like screw yourself, you know, like, oh, what, you know, enjoy the journey. No, I want to go make money. I want to go do this, you know, like, but no, really, like I see a lot of people, whether it be some of my clients that I work with as young adults, or some of their parents that are successful on paper, right? They have a good career, they're married, and they have a nice house and a fancy car and all that stuff, but they're miserable. You know, they're not happy because like they're constantly setting goals. And I'm sure with, you know, fitness coaching and fitness knocking, like, wait, we set a lot of goals, and setting goals is cool. But what I'm saying is for them, it becomes all about just the end goal, right? And what happens is, whether you're trying to get further in your career or you're trying to get in better shape or whatever it might be, if you make it just about that end goal, there's always going to be another goal to set. And as soon as you hit that goal, it's going to be like, okay, now I'm on to the next thing. What do I want to do next, right? As opposed to really finding some joy in the process of getting there and looking at the lessons that come our way each day, and try to find meaning even within the pain that we go through, whether it be physical pain of some of the training that we're doing, or, you know, the emotional pain that we face, you know, maybe when quarantined with our loved ones and having some struggles within the household. Like, there's opportunity for real growth that comes from that pain, I believe, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that you said that I really liked the other day was you like to ground yourself. And I think in knowing what your expectations are for yourself, it's really important to be able to get what you need to get done. While, you know, and my audience knows that I'm a recovering perfectionist. And it's really hard to be a perfectionist, especially in these kinds of times, because there's no walking away from work. Really, if you're working from home, it's here. So there's always so much to do. I mean, I always have a pile of stuff that I need to do. So being able to say, all right, at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, I'm shutting off and trying my best, unless I'm working with a client, to not make appointments for other things that I can easily just push off for a couple of extra days.
Right.
I struggle with this. I'm sure you do too. We all need to, I think, hear it over and over again to make a better difference in our day to day. So how do you shut off? Speaking of the end of the day, how do you shut off from work or life?
Usually just whiskey and Xanax. That's what no, I'm just, no, I'm just kidding. Look, it's not easy. It's not easy for me to shut off. I get what you're saying. Like, my brain, it works pretty quickly, and so, for me to shut off, it really has to become like, it comes down to really like awareness of like, I'm constantly kind of checking in, and like dialectical behavioral therapy uses this analogy, like a guard at the palace gate with your thoughts, right? That every thought that's kind of passing through our brain, we're checking and taking a look at it and be like, what the hell am I thinking about, right? Do I need to be thinking about this right now? Or like, is there another way I could be looking at this, and like sending some people away? Like, no, you're not cool. You can't come here. Like, okay, you're a good thought. You can come in. Like, kind of almost like a bouncer at a nightclub in a way, right? Like that's like choosing what thoughts I'm going to allow to kind of infiltrate the space, right? Right. But it's like, to shut that off, it first starts with like being aware of it. A lot of people today are walking around, very much in their heads and having different thoughts about things, like maybe ideas they have or things they're thinking about doing for the future or things that happened in the past. And like they're going through life in the future or in the past. And meanwhile, the present's going by, and then they're not really paying attention to it. Right. So if I can kind of catch myself, if I can like finish my last, my last session, and I close that laptop, and then I say, okay, that's it. I'm going to decompress. That sounds like a really good plan, but it's not like I'm just going to decide to do that and that's just going to happen, right? I might have to notice like, okay, I'm going to decompress, and I go into the living room and I notice I'm thinking about a client, and noticing that and be like, wait, I'm thinking about a client right now. Don't judge that, but be able to say, that's fine. Let me bring myself back to what I'm doing. I'm just chilling out watching The Office right now, and then noticing again, if my brain does go off to thinking about something I have to do tomorrow, and being like, no, that's for tomorrow, bringing myself back. The idea is to not get too far down that rabbit hole, right? Because I think once the thoughts start going and people leave them unchecked, you see people today, right? Especially the kids in front of the TV, like, they're just, the wheels are going in there, but they're not really there.
Yeah, totally. And when we spoke the other day, you talked about putting your oxygen mask on.
Yeah.
And we're so out of the thought process of being on planes, I think most of us right now. So it's a foreign thought process. But if you were to be on an airplane and the plane was going down, you need to put yours on first. It's really important. So if you're not aware, if you're judging yourself and you're not taking that time for yourself, and finding the days where you're really good at maybe being a parent or a business owner or an employee, and not judging yourself, but being nice to yourself on those days too, when you're not being good at some things, but good at others. And there's no perfect day. I think finding the balance within the week or even a 2-week period, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. I think, you brought up a really great point earlier when we were talking. I think I see a lot of folks these days, moms and dads, of my clients, that are keeping really busy, right? I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And some of that is healthy, right? To an extent, that is healthy, whether it be like taking on projects at the house, or whether it be getting into my business, or getting into like some extra work that I want to get done, whatever it might be. Some of that can be healthy, but what I'm seeing for a lot of folks that I think is something people really have to be mindful of are there's a lot of folks that are staying really, really super busy because they're using that as a way to distract themselves from some of the feelings that they're facing based upon what's going on in the world today, right? And I think some of that is healthy, right? To keep moving and keep on a loose, structured schedule and keep myself like moving forward. And at the same time, being mindful of giving myself some time to turn towards the emotion, not away, and kind of deal with some of the stuff that might be come up for me, whether it be confusion or fear, or anxiety, or like whatever it might be that's going on, or feeling just overwhelmed as a mom or a dad, not knowing what to do. Allowing yourself to feel that, that creates good work balance, and at the end of the day, because if you're not allowing yourself to feel those things and you're just distracting, where I see a lot of it in males, like stuffing it away, those emotions don't go away. Right? They just start to now drive the bus from a subconscious level. And that's when we get into real trouble. That's when real bad habits start getting formed. And that's, it's when we're not addressing those emotions. So I think that is a very important part of having that work-life balance, like not using work as a way to substitute for addressing emotions,
Oh, yeah. Totally. I feel like my last talk last week was stopping stress. And the major reason how the people that I had on last week's Valerie Lemay and Ty Kane, they were talking about stress is not an emotion. Self-pity is. Anger is an emotion. That umbrella term of stress, it's not a real emotion. It's kind of a made-up word when it comes to emotion. You can actually feel the real emotion. You can get deep with it and express it, and then find clarity.
Right. And growth for it. Use it as an alarm system, right? That's an alarm, not taking it as fact and then riding that through the situation, So it could be really noticing some of that, feeling overwhelmed, and using that to recognize, like, you know what, I need to take a step back. And, I did it the other day. As you can imagine, during what's going on, a lot of folks are reaching out for support for their mental health because it is really overwhelming for folks. And so I'm trying to help as many people as possible. And I don't want to turn down clients and former clients that are needing support during this time. A lot of them possibly even suicidal. That, I didn't put my oxygen mask on first, and I found myself now becoming burnt out. And if I'm burnt out, I'm not being effective for my clients. So I said, that's it. And I took 2 mental health days right away, Thursday, Friday, the rest of it, took a nice long weekend and came back in recharged, because you have to, like you said, put that oxygen mask on first.
Oh, completely. I feel like that's so important. So how do you suggest people express their self-love to maintain their balance? You mentioned to me in our initial chat that you think that your spiritual being programmed with habit.
When I work with my teens a lot, and I talk to my kids, I always, and I don't mean this necessarily in a religious way, but I feel like, we do have this spirit, this energy, this soul that is who we actually really are, and that energy was given this robot, this machine to kind of get around in, right? We have these cameras that pull information in, we have microphones that pull information in, and it all gets pulled into this computer, and that computer can get programmed the wrong way. And especially these days, the amount of stimuli, that we're facing and the amount of alerts that are going off in our life, it's easy for that brain to kind of get programmed and autopilot to kick in, and we kind of lose connection with who we really are. And, for me, I never thought I'd be this guy, but the guy I find myself now, meditating. I found a teacher, this guy, Master Alex Choi. He's out of a place called Harmony Meditation in Westfield. It's unbelievable, the work that I've done with him, even really early on. But some meditation has been really unbelievable to kind of just reconnect, along with that meditation, started doing some Tai Chi. I get my physical exercise in. I find myself reading more. And when we're making good decisions and we're doing things that are filling us up and we're not judging ourselves, I think we get closer to our natural selves and who we really are as our authentic beings, But when we're moved towards ego and stimuli and more towards the way of the brain and not towards the way of the heart is when we get distracted from our path. We can go out and do great work and run great business with this thing, right? But when someone comes from their heart, the difference for sure. There's a different vibe that you get.
I think that's great info. What a person once told me that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. So and I do one more thing that you said that I really love. That
Sure.
the whole thing about autopilot. And, when we're thinking about balance, driving to work a different way. You mentioned you switch the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I see, and a lot of my research is kind of on myself, right? Like, kind of looking at like what's going on up here and what happens for me, But I do see in myself and in a lot of folks that like a lot of people are kind of, because they're not in the present moment, and when we're in our head and we're thinking about different things, what happens is our brain says, okay, look, John's not really paying attention. Let's look at what did he do the last 50,000 times he was in this situation, and he's going to do the same thing. And that brain is what it's going to do. It's going to move us towards pleasure, and it's going to move us away from pain, right? It's autopilot to keep us alive is towards pleasure, away from pain. So as soon as we're distracted and not paying attention, our brain is going to move us towards whatever is going to feel good in that moment. And I think most people on this call know that, the things that feel good in the moment rarely are the things that are good for us long term, right? And it's like, usually it's like we were talking about very early on in this conversation, is that, it's through pain that we form resilience and we've experienced real joy and feeling complete and whole, not through just whatever's going to feel good in that moment. And I think that's when you see people getting stuck into those habitual kind of patterns. It could be turning towards nicotine or towards food or towards whatever it could be, gambling, anything that's going to hit that dopamine in that moment.
Gratification.
Yeah.
So you get more clarity when you express. And I know it's hard for me too. My husband and I work on this all the time. It's hard to be honest. It's hard to tell the truth. It's hard to really be in that uncomfortableness of thing. But it does definitely lead to better balance within relationships and that kind of thing. So, does anybody out there have any questions? If you do and you're watching this after the fact, you can still chime in and you can ask John after the fact. But if nobody has any questions, which I don't see anything coming up right this second, we're gonna wrap it up. John, if anybody wants to reach out to you, then everybody my email address as well and my website.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, you definitely just check out the website, blueprintmentalhealth.com. We're a team of 8 different clinicians. We specialize in children, teens, young adults, individual counseling, group counseling, family counseling, and also a ton of parent coaching. So we'll work with just the parents. During this time, people need some support. So even if, we're not the right fit for you guys, you reach out, we'll always do our best to try to point you in the right direction. And, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay, just as you look for a fitness coach, to have someone kind of coach you through maybe managing some of these tough emotions that are going on right now.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you at home for watching. Again, I'm Lois from Fitness Knocking, formerly known as Fitness Coaching. Thank you so much for chiming in today, and tune in again for our next episode. If you'd like to, please comment, share, tell your friends about us. We really appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.